We're about to tackle one of the most dangerous jobs out there, confined space entry. Now, the safety rules are incredibly detailed, and a single misunderstanding can be absolutely catastrophic. You think you know OSHA 1910.146? Well, let's really put that to the test.
Let's start with a brutal fact, one that most people in the field have never been told. Over 60% of all confined space fatalities are not the initial entrant. They're the would-be rescuers. These are the people who rush in to save a coworker, usually with no gear, no plan, and no idea what kind of invisible danger they're walking into.
So this isn't just another quiz. The OSHA standard 1910.146 was written specifically to stop those exact tragedies from happening again and again. But knowing the rulebook exists isn't enough. The real difference between life and death is buried in the details. So we're gonna find out if you really know them. Ready?
Okay, here's how we'll break it down. First, we'll dive into preparation, the stuff that stops a disaster before it can even start. Then we'll take a hard look at why so many rescuers become victims themselves. After that, we'll hit quiz part 2, which is all about emergency response. And you'll want to stick around to the end to see your final score and what it means.
All right, let's get into it. Quiz part 1, preparation. This first set of questions is all about what has to happen before anyone even breaks the plane of that opening. This is where you either set up for success or you guarantee a failure. Question 1, and this is the big one, the absolute foundation. We all know the basic definition of a confined space, right? Big enough to get into, limited exit, not meant for people to hang out in. But what is that one critical trigger that flips it from a simple confined space to a permit-required one? You've got 5 seconds. And the answer is C. It's the presence or even just the potential presence of a recognized serious hazard. We're talking a bad atmosphere, something that can bury you, a dangerous internal design, you name it. And listen, getting this wrong is the first domino to fall. If you miss this, you fail to use the entire permit system, the checks, the monitoring, the rescue plan. It is literally the mistake that makes all the other fatal mistakes possible.
Okay, question number 2, and this one isn't multiple choice because there is only one right answer and this sequence is absolutely non-negotiable. You have to test in this order. First for oxygen, second for combustible gases, and third for any toxic gases. So why this exact order? It's not just random, it's pure science. Most of the sensors that detect combustible gases need a certain amount of oxygen to even work properly. So if you test for flammables in a space with no oxygen, your meter could read 0, telling you everything's fine, when in reality, the space is packed with explosive gas. That's a false, safe reading, and it's the kind of mistake that gets people killed.
All right, next up, let's talk about the attendant. You know, the lifeline on the outside. We've all seen it. Can they just step away for a second to grab a tool or help with some other quick task? What do you think? I'll give you 5 seconds. The answer is a hard C. Absolutely not. OSHA is crystal clear on this one. The attendant is to perform no other duties that might interfere with their one and only job, monitoring that entrant. A distracted attendant, even for a few seconds, can miss the very first sign of trouble. And by the time they look back, it's already too late. And this slide shows you exactly why. Just think of the entrant, the attendant, and the entry supervisor like the 3 legs of a stool. If you take one away, or if one of them isn't doing their job 100%, the whole thing comes crashing down. These roles are separate for a very, very good reason. Okay, let's take a quick pause from the quiz here. I want to circle back to that number we started with, that 60%.
You know, it's not just a statistic. It's a story that plays out time and time again. A worker goes down inside a space. A coworker, usually a friend or their boss, sees it happen and their first instinct is to rush in and help. They go in with no gear, no awareness, right into the same invisible hazard that got the first person, and they become the second victim. The next set of rules we're going to cover is designed specifically to break that tragic cycle.
And that leads us straight into the second half of our quiz, all about response. These next questions are about what to do when things have already gone wrong. Knowing these rules is what keeps rescuers from becoming victims.
Okay, let's talk about the non-entry retrieval system. You know, the harness, the line, the winch that lets you pull someone out without sending someone else in. It is your best friend in an emergency. But is it always required? Take 5 seconds.
The answer here is C.
The retrieval system is required unless using it would actually create a greater hazard. Maybe the space is full of pipes and equipment where the line would just get tangled and make things worse. But listen, that is a very rare exception, and you have to document exactly why you're not using it. The default rule is simple. You use non-entry rescue.
Now, this is a huge one, because so many places have a rescue plan that just says call 911. But what's the absolute minimum an employer must do before they can legally lean on an outside rescue team like the fire department?
The answer is C. And this is a shocker for a lot of folks. OSHA is explicit. Just planning to call 911 is not a compliant rescue plan. The employer has to evaluate the rescue service. Do they have the right training for your specific spaces? Do they have the right equipment? Is their response time fast enough for the hazards involved? If you haven't done that evaluation and had that conversation with them, you don't have a rescue plan, period.
Okay, this next one is a bit technical, but it's a distinction that trips up a lot of people. OSHA gives you two ways to potentially downgrade the safety requirements for a space: alternate entry and reclassification. They are not the same thing. Alternate entry is for when the only hazard is atmospheric and you are controlling it with a fan. Reclassification is for when you have eliminated all hazards, atmospheric and physical. The key difference is controlling a hazard versus eliminating it entirely. It's a critical distinction.
And our final question. Picture this. You're doing hot work, welding, inside a permit-required confined space. What's the paperwork situation? Are you good with one permit, or do you need two? The answer is C. You absolutely need both. They are two completely separate permit systems that control two completely different sets of hazards. The entry permit handles the atmosphere, the attendant, the rescue. The hot work permit handles ignition sources and fire watches. You need both of them active at the same time. Forgetting one is like ignoring half of the things that can kill you.
All right, that's it for the quiz. Let's tally up the score, and more importantly, let's talk about what your score really means for you out in the field.
So how'd you do? If you got 6 or 7 right, that's fantastic. You've got a solid grasp on the requirements that actually save lives. If you were in the 4 to 5 range, you've got a decent foundation, but I really want you to go back and review the sections for the questions you missed. And look, if you scored below 4, please take this seriously. Every single question you got wrong represents a real-world scenario where a fatal mistake could easily be made.
At the end of the day, confined space entry is a high-stakes job. It's not about being brave, it's about being smart and knowing the details, because knowing the details in 1910.146 is quite literally the difference between life and death. The final question really is, do you know it well enough to bet someone's life on it? If this quiz opened your eyes and you want to keep sharpening your safety knowledge, subscribe to HSC Study for more deep dives just like this one. Stay safe out there.